So, self-defense kinda. Pretty cool game, right? It even includes this feature where you can make your own fights and play them within the game. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that at least mildly interesting? And that's the best kind of interesting. Anyway, in order to make a custom fight in the game, you kind of need to know how to do that. And yeah, fair enough, you might not know how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to make a custom fight in self-defense kinda. So let's get doing. The first thing in order to make a custom fight is, well, we want to know what we're doing first, but we'll get to that later. For now, we want to get it in here, right? We want to get it in self-defense kinda, because I don't know if you noticed, but in order to make a custom fight, you kind of need to have the game. So we're going to go to Browse Local Files here. You can do that by pressing the gear icon in your Steam library. You can also do it from Properties, and then go to Install Files, and you can browse here. But the easier way to do it is to go to Manage in the gear icon, and then go Browse Local Files. We're in the local files now. Here we go. So, in order to make a custom fight, we need a folder with all the appropriate folders and files in there, which luckily for you, there's the custom fight template, which is included in every copy. Although I noticed a slight error. Image speed might not be included in it, so just go ahead and add that. Or you can also download the custom fight template that I have included in the description, and that'll have everything you need. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and copy it. So copy this. Then we're going to go to here, and we're going to paste it into here. We're going to want to paste it into the workshop folder. I know how it sounds. It's not the Steam Workshop. I don't know if I actually really had to clarify that, but whatever. Anyway, the name of the fight, you can name it anything you want, obviously, but we're going to call it Dungeons and Doofuses, because that's what I want the fight to be. Because I actually have it... where is it? I actually have the thing here. The title card art here, so we're going to do that. Anyway, Dungeons and Doofuses, that's the name of the fight. We're going to go to title card, and... oh, looks like I already included it. Get a little too prepared for the video, apparently. Anyway, now that it's in there and in here... whoops, that's not the folder. What we're going to want to do, in order to get it to appear at all, is we need to fill out the overview section, which is basically how it appears in the custom fight select screen. Meaning we need to fill out title card art, comment. Whenever there's a comment folder, or text file I mean, that actually doesn't mean anything. That's exclusively for you to use to write down anything you want to make a note of. For example, like the IDs of certain things, or like what a certain thing here does, or just anything you want to make a note of in certain areas that you don't want the game to read the code from. Then we have creator details, difficulty level, game version made for. They should all be pretty self-explanatory. We'll get to game version made for later, because that one might not be so self-explanatory. Anyway, as we saw here, we need the title card art, so let's go ahead and put in title card art. So, literally, all you have to do, just copy your image, paste it into here, and that's it. There you go. This is how the libraries work in this game. Or the custom fight folder. Well, the image and sound library anyway. Object libraries have this thing called table of contents. We'll get into that later. But for sound and image, all you have to do is put the thing in there, and there you go. We're going to go ahead and copy the name of this, including the format .png. The reason we did that is because we need to clarify an image to display that this is the title card art. So we just put it in there. It can be any image format, I believe. I just recommend doing PNG because you can also do. I've noticed that it looks fine. It allows you to have transparencies. If you want a different image format, go ahead, be my guest. Just make sure to clarify what the image format here is. It's usually dot and then whatever the image format is. Although it should be noted, if you use GIF, I believe it'll only use the first frame of the GIF. Though to be fair, why are you using GIF for an image? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save that. So we need to fill out everything here. Most of it is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, image speed, actually not very self-explanatory. So what this is if your sprite is animated, so here we put, well, let's just say it's like 5 frames. That would mean that you want GameMaker to make it animated. However, GameMaker will default it to 30 frames per second. This could be a problem for you because that would mean you have to draw out 30 actual frames. You would have to draw out 30 actual frames for 1 second of animation. Granted, if you want to be sweaty, if you want to put in a lot of effort, you can do that. Obviously, I'm not going to stop you. But for most cases in this game and in the custom fight system, 30 frames per second is a little bit extra. So that's why image speed is here. Because with image speed, right now it's at 0. That means the image won't move at all, but it wasn't going to move anyway because it's not animated. We only put 1 frame. But let's say we had 5 frames. At 30 frames per second, that loop is going to play 6 times in a second. No, wait. 5. It's going to play 12 times. No, wait, because it's 30. Right. It's going to play, since it's 30 frames per second. So yeah, I was right before. It's going to play 6 times in a second since it's 30 frames per second. This might be a problem, because again, like I said before, you might not want to draw out 30 individual frames. So what you'll do is you'll put 0.1667 or something like that. Say if we wanted the 5 frames to be played in a second, you would divide 5 by 30, and then you'll get however much you want the image speed to be. Or maybe you want to go even crazier. Maybe you want 60 frames for your animated loop. Then you would go 2, because then that would double the FPS, which would be 60 at that point, and therefore it would play your whole loop in that 1 second. But for the most part, you want to use it to go slower. Here, though, we don't really care what it is because it's only 1 frame, so it's going to put 0. And I'll get into how to make the number of frames work. Right now, it's not going to matter because this is only the title card art. But basically how it would work is it's going to split your image depending on how many frames it is. So your animated frame's going to have to be all side by side, but we'll get into that later. Right now, that's not important for just making it appear. Now, actually, we do want to reference something in the other fight to make it easier. So we're going to go to Terrorific Teaching. Basically, when it comes to location, so let's go ahead and do that. So obviously, we don't want it to be rotated because why would we? I put it in there just in case you want to be unique or special about it. Transparency, we want it to be not see-through at all, so 1. By the way, 0 is completely invisible, and 1 is not see-through at all. So any variance in there, basically closer to 0, the more see-through it is. The closer to 1, the more opaque it is. The X origin, since our image is a 256 by 256 resolution, it's actually going to be 128 we want to be in here. Basically, X origin refers to what the center point of your image is. I recommend having the center point be the exact middle of your image. So basically, both your X resolution and Y how wide in terms of pixels it is and how high in terms of pixels it is. Basically, just divide both of them by 2 so that it can be in the exact center. So if your image was 1000 by 1000, 500 by 500, 500 X origin and 500 Y origin. We're going to do that for both of them. 128. And by the way, the title card, I recommend the resolution to be 256 by 256 and then scale it up by double. Alternatively, you could just make it 512 by 512 so you don't have to scale anything. That would mean that you would have to store a higher resolution image, and that would also mean that you would have to draw out that higher resolution image. It won't really matter either way though, so I just recommend, in my case, 2 by 2. We're going to scale it up since it's 256, but basically the end goal is we want it to be 512 by 512. So there we go. Now the X start, this is basically where it is on the screen. Now, if you've noticed, the purple box is wherever it is. So we're going to want to match it in that purple box. Though I already did the work of doing that. 1024. So there we go. And then the Y start, wherever that is, 409. Okay. Alright. And now I believe we've done everything with this. I'm sure Game Maker will whine if we haven't done something with it. Creator details. Basically, who made it? Me. I made it. That's right, me. No one else. Just me. How difficult is it? Hard. I don't actually know how difficult it's going to be. We might have to change that later. For these two, you can put anything you want. It's not going to matter. It's just how it's being displayed. So you can put... Just make sure it's not too long, because it might get cut off and look weird on the menu. For difficulty level, just have a 1 or 2 word short description of its difficulty. Hard, very hard, easy, very easy, etc. Creator details, yeah, just put in your username or whatever. Game version made for. This one, actually, you can't just put whatever you want. Okay, well, now you can put whatever you want. The point of it, I guess I should explain that first. The point of it is basically in case I want to change the custom fight system and add a tool to it, basically the game version made for will tell self-defense kind of what tools you had at the time you made it. Now, when Steam Workshop integration comes in, that won't really matter too much because Steam Workshop items can be updated. But if the developer never gets around to updating it, this will still be helpful because what this will do is self-defense kind of will read it and take you to the appropriate room so that your game is so that the fight is still playable even on newer versions of the game. Right now we're on version 1.01, so that's what we're gonna put. But for now, this doesn't actually really matter because no changes have been made to the custom fight system and nothing's been added to it. But in later versions, it might actually matter. So just put whatever current version is. Current version is 1.01. And there we go. We filled out A. Theoretically speaking, if we play the game, we should be able to see it in there. Let me just do a quick check while it's loading. That's in there, yeah. Alright, so we should be able to see it. Team Fury. That's me. Go, Gary, there I am! Alright, custom. Alright, moment of truth. There it is. Me hard! 1.01. Now, I don't think I need to tell you guys that if I go into this fight, it's probably going to crash because we haven't done literally anything else besides allow self-defense kind of to see it. So, Moment of truth. Will my game somehow exist to fight into nothingness? No. So, yeah, you actually need to make a fight after this. Could you believe it? I didn't just make an AI that makes a game for you. You have to do work after that? I don't know. I'm being an asshole about this. Anyway, yeah, as you saw, it was in there. And that's because it's reading from this text file here. I guess I should go into this. So basically, you're gonna put in the folder file's name, not whatever the fight's name is. Well, your folder should be called whatever the fight is, but it will be reading from this. So, no worries there. You just have to put in the folder's name and make sure that you keep end here. The reason why end is here is because at the beginning of the game, self-defense kind of goes through this table of contents to see how many custom fights you have. When it reaches end, it knows that you don't have any more left, so it stops reading it. It needs this to boot, so do not remove end here. Was there a better way to do it? I plead the fifth. Anyway. So, yeah, there we go. Let's boot it up one more time to make sure it wasn't a fluke. But there we go. The fight is in self-defense kinda. The game recognizes it. And now we can actually get into start making the fight. So yeah, there you go. Dungeons and Doofuses. Deranged DM in Dungeons and Doofuses. Yep, there it is. There was the custom title art. And as you can see, it doesn't look too bad, even though technically speaking we did scale it up. Let me go back and mute the game because I'm having... Oh wait, I can just do it in Sound Mixer. What am I doing? Go away. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, as you can tell, the title card art actually still looks pretty decent, even though we scaled it up. That's because we did it by a whole number, and that's why I recommend making the title card art in 256 by 256 so that it scales up by a whole number, and it looks fine. Of course, again, you can do 512 by 512, but that's the maximum resolution. If you do more than that, you'll have to scale it down, and scaling down is a lot harder to do than scaling up. Because then you're going to lose details, which is not good. We don't want to lose details. We want our fight to look acceptable. So that's why I recommend 256 by 256 and then scale up. That'll be the easiest. But you can also do 512 by 512 and it'll appear exactly as how you drew it here. It's just, again, you'll have to draw all that out, and that might be a bit more tricky. But yeah, as you can see, it's in there. If we go into it, it's not going to do anything. Just for simplicity's sake, we're going to... Yeah, there we go. The Miss Tellum fight still works. So against Miss Tellum, yeah. Alright, so there we go. The fight's in there. In the next part, we're gonna go over how to, not make the game immediately crash as soon as we get into here, because that's kind of important. We want to be able to play the game. Crazy, I know, right? But yes, we will want to play the game, and in order to do that, we need to not crash as soon as we go into it. There's a couple of things we need to fill out in order to do that. We'll go over that next time. We're also going to go over what the hell I want this fight to be, because if you don't know, this fight's actually going to be playable by the time I finish this tutorial. All the parts of the tutorial anyway. So we need an idea. We know that self-defense kind of sees it, and we know that we can now work on it. Now we want to know what we're doing, and we'll go over that next time as well. So I'll see you then. Should I even say the YouTuber stuff like, subscribe, comment, stuff like that? I guess if you want to make your own fight, go ahead and do all that.